We're starting off high.
So we can get
I
a two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot.
There was you had accountability. Now what I can
Now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
no, not even.
Where give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Live on Facebook.com/Foolproof Entertainment Network. I need you on Twitter. I need you to repost the Facebook pages.
To raise a human before I would
Trust human to raise back wolves.
before I would trust a pack of humans to raise wolves.
Right. I hear you. Yo, what up, fools? Welcome to another edition of Do Fools Agree. As always, I'm your host, Michael Reggie, here with my main man, Clifford Jordan Jennings. Maybe. What's going on, fool?
I'm here, fuck it. I'm here.
I mean, I see you on the screen. I mean...
Yeah, I'm here. I had to check in mentally. You started it so fast, I don't think I was mentally prepared.
That was a good one. It was good and smooth, fast.
You know,
Man.
it was.
Man, how you doing? How was your week?
On? My week?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that, like I say it all the time. I think that they just bleed into each other. Like,
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like it's almost to the point where it gets hard to tell what happened.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, yeah, that last week, and be like, that was last month. That wasn't. Oh shit! You know, everything looks the same. So
it all starts to blend together.
Right. You know.
No, I feel you. I kind of feel the same way. Week wasn't bad work wise. It was smooth, relatively quiet. We just got a lot going on, and I handle like the upfront pieces of stuff, and I've got like two things that I'm really focused on, but then like the big news in terms of what we're doing is in flight, and there's nothing else I can do to really help it, so I'm just letting the team do their thing. So getting through it. But kiddo's birthday was Monday. I got a 9-year-old now.
Oh shit.
Right?
Oh shit. I knew that.
We almost double digits. Ugh.
Man.
He and I had a hard 15-minute start to the workout today. He did not.
He wasn't feeling it.
He just was not feeling it. And I looked at him. I'm like, look, sometimes you got to do things you don't want to when you don't want to. Like,
right. I had the same thing today.
And he was whining about doing squats and saying he couldn't do it, and like it was just the bar again. And I'm like, dude, you are fully physically capable of doing this. Everything that you're feeling right now is all up here. It's mind games.
Right.
Which every time I do that, I'm reminded of Terry Taylor, office linebacker, and it makes me smile. Because those commercials were fantastic.
They were good.
Woo woo! Hey, train coming, Terry.
That's what's up, though.
You finished it, Joe. You need some more.
That's gonna be more of your days than not.
Right.
You know, very rarely do you wake up amped to do something that you know is gonna be difficult.
Right. But you gotta face it.
Right.
It's the only way you get better. Like, he and I had a long talk about that today, too, which was, you know, he was trying to talk me down on weights, and I'm like, all right, but just know, at the end of the day, you get into this what you put out of it. Or what you get out of this what you put into it, rather. And
right.
It was, you know, I'm like, I think you could do this exercise with this weight. And he's like, well, no, I want to do it with this. I'm like, all right. But then know that if it's not hard for you, you're not getting better.
Right.
And this is really just wasting your time. So do you want to get better? Or do you want this just to be a time waster?
Yeah. I mean,
So,
you'll, I mean, if nothing else, tone up, but.
right. So, all good. He'll get there. And once he starts having friends that are like truly working out, he'll get competitive about it.
Right. You don't really start getting competitive until you see somebody else.
Right.
That's why they say working out with a partner is the best, because they push you usually.
Well, that was my buddy. That was my buddy Althouse in college. Like, he was an offensive tackle. I was a nose guard, defensive nose guard. He kicked my ass on the bench, and I kicked his ass in cleans. And by the end of the season, we were pretty parallel in both.
Right.
So,
Iron sharpens iron.
Right.
Iron sharpens iron. And a lot of it is, like you said, it's mind games.
Yeah, exactly.
You're timid about it, but your body's like, I got that shit, man.
Well, and that's the thing, is that was a lot of the talk was your body can do it. It's all your mind that's in the way.
Your mind is what talks you out of it. What puts all those evil thoughts. Well, worry about your knee, worry about your shoulder. Fuck that shit, man.
Right. Right.
Because the more I baby this shit, the more I'm going to be dealing with it down the road.
We got Uncle Greg in the chat.
Uh-oh. My guy.
Uncle Greg in the chat. Getting ready to celebrate. Was it 35, 45? Is it some big wedding anniversary? I want to say it's 35 years.
Congratulations. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome. They're two of my favorite people.
That's
But Uncle Greg was just asking what the topic was tonight, and the topic is, we're gonna make it up as we go.
Okay.
There are a couple of things that I want to hit on. The new proposal around the NFL schedule, which I know this ain't hit the showers, but if you got, I think it was just announced today in terms of Goodell just put it forth today, so I'll bring it up.
I didn't see that then.
So there's that.
I was getting notifications. I just was.
Yeah. There was Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon divesting himself fully now from the WWE, which is another end of an era.
That wasn't already.
He was still a major stakeholder, or he was still a major stockholder in the parent company.
So they gave him some time to collect some back-end funds
and
before he stepped off.
Yep, and he just sold all of his shares. The Champion House just entered contract, so about to lose that. There's a lot of little things going on. Yeah, man.
Oh shit.
Yep. And then there's a couple other things. There's a little bit of political unrest on our nation's campuses that I want to talk about a little bit when we get to it. So.
Well, with the whole Palestine Israel situation, yeah, I've been seeing shit with Harvard and
Ohio State.
I didn't know.
Cops showed up and used force to remove people. So it's almost like our friends in blue and CPD didn't learn shit from the Black Lives Matter protests a couple years ago. That is what we call it, a repeated pattern of behavior, which means it is institutional failure to change, which means blow it up and start over.
I don't think that they're scared, though.
Of course they're not. They're going against little college kids.
Then
acting
that's what
all
I'm
big
saying.
and bad with 18 and 19-year-olds.
Right. So I don't think that they would be worried about it regardless. I think they're looking at it as practice.
Yeah. No doubt. And you're not
wrong.
wrong.
All it is.
You're not wrong about it.
That's essentially
all it is. When the real protests and the real riots start.
And we know you won't be out there keeping a buck.
No doubt.
They already pulling police out of states. Like, we don't answer nothing.
I mean, they don't answer calls now. Like, they don't answer for theft calls. They don't answer for like harassment calls. Like, honestly, the only thing they back is corporate interests, and they protect property for the wealthiest people in Columbus, Ohio. That's it. That's it. They don't even pretend to help the common man anymore.
Right.
So fuck them.
Fuck them. That's how I feel. I've been felt that way, though. I mean, it'd be different if motherfuckers was out there really doing good, like but it's one of those situations where it's like you don't. There's that. None of that shit exists where the police officers would come to your neighborhood and try to be cordial and introduce and just a little wellness check on the none of that happens anymore.
No.
As soon as you see that car,
Well, and when
good gang shit's about to take place.
And when you do see that, it's all for film. It's all for show. Like, it gets posted to their social media channels or their TikToks like right away. They went and played basketball. Like, so the police station near me is right next to Blackburn Rec Center, and every once in a while they'll post a video of them going over and playing basketball with the kids at Blackburn. But it is so obviously set up that it's ridiculous. Like, it is just nothing but a photo op.
Listen, I ain't gonna hate on them, Y'all pick y'all's path, I pick mine. But
all right. Well,
at the end of the day, like I said, it's practice, and they better be bench pressing as many little 18, 19-year-olds as they can, because if shit really pop off, we already seen how y'all fold.
Right. Well, and of course they're doing it.
How y'all fold a few years ago.
And of course, where are they doing it? Ohio State, which is one of the biggest employers in the state. Like, it's the number 2 or number 1 employer in the state.
What's that? What's that mean?
It's one of the biggest money makers in the state.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So they would be there to use excessive force because.
Well, you know the university president signing off on it. Like, the administration, not necessarily professors, not necessarily teachers. And there's some really cool stories about how they arrested a bunch of people at Columbia, and then Columbia professors went out on strike too. But yeah,
what is this? Like the Free Palestine?
That's exactly
protest?
What it is, and it's really, from what I've gathered, it's really about the fact that we are. It's the fact that we're supporting it. It's the fact that we just signed over like $96 billion in aid, but we refuse to do anything for our own people, which shows you where the banks are controlled, which shows you where the money is controlled. Like, it's just.
I mean, but we already knew this.
I know, but it's getting more and more just painfully obvious. Like, we have no reason to be there. You can talk about oil all you want. Like, unless that's where the Stargate is, and that's where the aliens are camped out, and that's where the Mecca of civilization is underground with the real civilization with aliens. Like, there's no reason for us to be over there. We actually produce enough oil and enough natural resources ourselves these days that, like, we don't need foreign oil. We choose to continue to participate in that.
Do you think that that's true, though? I don't think that that's true all the way.
Well, here's the other side of it.
I do think that
we
produce a lot more oil than
we
put on, but at the same time, is that sustainable? Is it sustainable?
But that's the thing. None of it's sustainable. Like, it's all gone.
No, you're right.
There's a finite deal on it. Like, we should have transitioned to electric by now. There is no reason except the oil industry as to why we haven't transitioned to electric. So
should have transitioned to water.
Well, no doubt. Or you want to get real conspiracy theory, 0 point energy, which is what all of these UFOs are, which half of them are ours, and it's all technology that's being kept from us.
Well, I'm sure of that, but we don't need it.
But that's the thing, like 0 point energy.
I'm sure there's resources we could use from it.
Right.
I'm just saying these niggas ain't responsible enough to be giving them shit like that. They already coming up with flying cars, and I'm thinking to myself, like, you can't paint air, motherfucker. Ain't no lanes you gonna be able to put up there to keep them in line.
Then it becomes all automated, like the airplanes are.
Right, they just knocked down the eastern sign doing donuts in the intersection. So what the fuck do you think they gonna be doing up there?
Running into
you don't think shit through.
Hey man, it worked in Back to the Future. That's all I know.
And I don't remember seeing no blacks, Asians. It might have been an Asian or Mexicans in the Jetsons.
You're not wrong.
I might have seen one black woman, I believe. Now that I'm
Was she friends?
searching through my files.
Nah, dude, that was the robot. That was Rosie.
Right, but she was gray. So I mean, is that mixed? I don't know. You tell me. It's the future.
Oh
The
man.
fuck?
All right, man. You got any? Well, actually, no. Circling back to my inadvertent thought.
Okay, we'll go on and lead it off this week.
But it's tied to the campus riots. Like,
okay.
And now I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth, so I'm going to be a little bit devil's advocate here.
You know, you gotta.
Given the
level, the way your mind works.
Given the level, the level of the protests and the fact that they are across the country, does that just show how infiltrated our country is at this point?
Oh, for sure. But see, that's the thing.
But that doesn't mean that I don't support the protesters, but it does make me think about, like, are we already...
you're talking about it from another side. No, I'm not even thinking of it from that side. I'm thinking of it from the opposite side. From a protester side, and this is what's so bugged out to me, right, is these motherfuckers are protesting the violence that's taking place over there.
Correct. And they're protesting the fact that we're funding it. Like, it really is about, like, the fact that the U.S. government is spending dollars on it. When people hear where homelessness is on the rise and food insecurity is on the rise and, like, all of these things are on the rise.
Right. No, we all know the equation. But what I'm saying is these people are peacefully protesting for peace in an ill situation.
Yeah.
But our government would come in and use force to get rid of these peaceful people asking for peace. And you think our country isn't infiltrated? That's where I'm coming from.
You're talking about on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
No, we know that part. Like, no, that's
there's no infiltration involved with just regular people saying, why are y'all doing this?
No, I'm more saying it from the... There's no way for me to say this without coming off bad, but, like, I'm saying it more from the potentially radical Islamic sect.
Yeah, I understand why you had to put that prerequisite out there.
Right. Now, from your standpoint of, like, the cops are infiltrated and, like, the cops are in line with the big dogs at the big universities, like, no shit. Mm-hmm. Like, we know that's the case. The question is how quickly will they draw on their own citizens when shit really goes down? But
you would think that the universities would be with the peaceful people.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? And I'm not putting
creed
or anything
because
on
the whole idea is that, like, colleges do nothing but liberal brainwashing. So it's interesting to see the dichotomy of, they're doing nothing but liberal brainwashing, but they're going to be the ones that call the cops on peaceful protesters. Like, well, I mean, those two things don't go in concert.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. It's a lot of names on those Ohio State buildings.
Yeah, no doubt.
You hear what I'm saying? And when you start putting names specific on buildings, then what you're really saying is, ask that motherfucker their point of view. It's don't got nothing to do with me. It got to do with the nigga funding the building.
Right. So you've got wealthy donors that are the ones calling and saying you better put a stop to those protests.
You hear what I'm saying? Because why would they care else? Like why does that matter at all? Like, let them protest. Let them be out there.
Right.
Hopefully they're missing classes and they have to retake them next year and we get some more money. let them do what they want. Who cares? They're not hurting anyone.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is like, what is the point of? Like, even if they're disrupting, quote unquote, business at the school, like, they're the ones funding the school with tuition dollars.
And they're still paying. They ain't left the campus. Now, you need to be concerned when they walk off the campus and they like, we'll protest here. That means that you're going to see a lot of dropouts coming next semester. I guarantee you that.
Well, and maybe, actually, so here's an idea for you. And the REIT's chiming in with it's been that way since the 60s in college protests versus the cops. Completely get it.
You right.
This ain't new.
What was that Kent State when they killed them?
Yep. And
Called the
here's an
Guard
idea,
in.
though. But here's an idea for all of the students that are out there protesting.
So that's an Ohio thing.
Right. But here's an idea for all of the students who are out there protesting. Withdraw. Take your money with you. And watch how quickly these schools back the fuck off.
I mean, but what are they going to back off of? I think
they have to back up if they don't have students. They don't have the tuition dollars coming in.
I understand exactly what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel like it's not necessarily a win-win.
See, this goes back. So this goes back to a comment that Billy Carson made. That basically said, Billy Carson.
Oh yeah, from the lazy eye dude.
Yeah. He basically, and he put it out there. He was like, people don't understand the power we have. Like, if 50% of the country could unite behind any one cause, they could accomplish anything.
Right.
So even if 50% of the students at any given school said, we're withdrawing because of this police presence at this campus.
But see.
Boom.
But the powers that be have done a good job of brainwashing us to be more selfish than most.
That I agree with.
Most other countries aren't as selfish as we are. Only ones that are the ones that are competing with us. And even beyond that, like, because the first thing that pops in your head is China, Russia. But even beyond that, if you speak to the people themselves, they don't carry that same sentiment.
Yeah.
It's the devils at the top of all these places. You feel what I'm saying? So I can't remember what point I was making, but I know in reference to you take your money out of the schools for what? It's not going to stop nothing.
I think if a high enough percentage, well, this comes back to if you could organize a high enough percentage, it would.
Well, see, here's the thing though, but even if a high enough percentage did, and what's the best case scenario? The school shuts down, or they send you a letter saying please come back, or like what's the best case scenario?
They change their policies, because
essentially nothing that takes place at Ohio State helps y'all get y'all's job done, which was the cause of the issue.
Here you go though, because
Palestine,
because colleges are for-profit institutions. I don't care if they're public. I don't care if they're private. They're all for-profit institutions. You hit them in the pocketbook hard enough.
So best case
you
scenario,
hit them in the pocketbook hard enough, they go to Congress and say, The wealthy donors of those places that want their name on their building versus seeing a school get shut down.
Well, see,
but again, you need a big enough percentage of people, and there is not going to be a big enough.
And that's not the fight to get the percentage of people. First of all, college students, you're already shrinking the board. You know what I'm saying?
You're not wrong.
Because a lot of people are coming up nowadays thinking college isn't doing anything for them. It's hard to get jobs even when you do go. Others are coming up without even the money to think about college.
Right.
So that percentage goes from the 50% to you're rocking with like 32 to 35.
Yeah.
And then think about the age ranges of those individuals. I wouldn't be concerned about them if I was the government. That 50%, I'll fight you any day of the week because you're going to make mistakes. But if you can get the actual people, the country itself, 50% of that, 50% of your elders, 50% of your fighting age range people, 50% of your youth that has a different way of thinking, that 50% is what you need, because you can't really, like, that's a setup for them. You're setting them up. And at the end of the day, you went there to protest the killings in Palestine, and they're not going to stop.
Well,
I'm out of a college.
Well, what's interesting is there's a lot of talk right now about how things have gotten so bad because we have dwindled our military to a certain percent or a certain size. And the reason why they're not doing anything to help the common man is they want to drive up enlistment. Because what are the benefits of enlistment? You will always receive a paycheck. It is healthcare. It is the GI Bill, which will send you to college
These
for
motherfuckers are so delusional. If they think that the paycheck is not what the fuck. That's so dumb.
But
That's so
it's the
dumb.
truth, dude.
No, it's not at all. Because what the fuck is a paycheck if it doesn't pay half of my amenities? If I still can't survive and you're gonna pay me a little bit more than the money that I couldn't survive on to risk my life, you're in fucking sane.
Well,
these kids don't even want to do a regular job. You think they're gonna just show up to enlistment like World War II? I want to proudly fight for my. You're insane.
Well, that's the big thing,
y'all
right?
Devils are insane if you think you can pull it off.
No one was. That is the thing right now. I actually think it's that problem. It's the PR problem. I don't think anyone's proud enough to go fight for this country right now.
I mean, but what are you doing? See, that's the thing. You dig yourself a deep enough hole, and only the radicals jump in it with you.
Right.
We're not communicating with you anymore. You're too far gone. So now you just got to rock it out. But if somebody was smart enough to make that decision 20 years ago, then I'm sure you'd have a lot of disillusioned motherfuckers marching their way into a recruiting facility to sign up to do something.
Right.
But the country hasn't done anything for its people in more, you could argue more so than the last 20 years.
I agree with that.
So what the fuck am I fighting for?
The last time we had unity in this country,
I want to fight you. That's how I really feel.
The last time there was like a higher percentage, I'm willing to say more than 50%, like patriotism, unity, was 9/11, and maybe the 2 years following it.
And now we're finding out that it was manufactured patriotism.
Right. Oh, of course.
Because you had shit to do with it.
Right.
You would be so devious to manipulate a situation to make people think that they're being attacked by somebody you just want to get over there to
well, and honestly, that's what I'm waiting for at this point. When's the next big disaster strike? And we know it'll be a false flag.
Right. Oh, well, now, see, that's the thing. Even the non-conspirators are like, I don't trust these motherfuckers.
Right.
They're saying that right now as we speak, waiting for that disaster. Like, what is our country going to do next? Once you got people to that point, there's no wrangling the troops no more. That's why you see open borders, why you see people bringing in migrants to attempt to get jobs done that people have given up on years ago.
Right.
I know the difference between maintaining a symptom and trying to make something well. And what you're doing is maintaining symptoms.
Well,
I'm not trying to stay sick forever.
Right. We're maintaining.
And I'm not trying to be your white blood cells and keep the people in line either.
Well, and I think this presidential election, more than most, shows you just how out of touch the government is with the nation.
Right.
Like rallying
it's the devils on top.
Right.
They don't see no other way of doing things. They're devils.
Well, I've decided I have a new political platform. I'm not voting for anyone over the age of 50. So
I think that's a little harsh. I think you might be swerving into another bad end of the spectrum right there. I think.
All right. What do you think the number is? 60?
So
is the number 60?
60 is perfect to me because you can still see.
You still got 20 years left.
Right. You still see certain people. That's not everyone.
Right.
But certain people, you still see them as being very capable at the age of 60. If you've done enough to keep your mental and your physical intact, and I'm not saying that position calls for that, at least mental. But I would hope physical as well, to be honest, because you are the president at the end of the day.
You got to be able to work those, 90-hour
You know what I'm saying? And beyond even working it, like we're coming into some crazy times. We seen the movies, White House down and Olympus down and Air Force One and all. You may come into a situation where ain't no Secret Service around.
Right.
You may come into a situation where a meeting door gets locked and you over there parlaying with Vladimir and Kim Jong-un. And now they trying to jump on your ass. And the door locked. How you gonna get out that bitch? Biden could be in a situation where both of them trip and knock each other out. And I wouldn't trust this nigga to still get to the door if I'm Secret Service banging on the other side. Like, sir,
have you
here,
seen Trump
this
walk?
way.
There is only one presidential candidate that I would take in a fight right now against anybody.
Who?
Bobby Kennedy.
You're right. You know what? It's funny you said that because that was going to be my pick as well.
He is the only presidential candidate that could take somebody in a fight. And I don't even know who.
Fire in him. He got some fire in him, and
I am continuing to be here for Bobby Kennedy.
I don't know if I'm going to vote for him, but...
Oh, I'm definitely voting for him. Out of the three that we have right now?
I'm voting Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, you writing in?
Yep, Joe Rogan.
I mean, the types of guests he has on his podcast, I can't be mad at.
No, and it's a man that still wants to learn.
Right.
You know, I'm forever seeking knowledge, and I'm willing to say I was wrong about that, or I was.
Joe Rogan with running mate Billy Carson. Here we go. That's my 2020 vote.
I don't know if I like Billy enough for that.
Oh man, he's another one that's just always learning though, because he's acknowledged that he's changed positions on things.
Your job is a compromise to the position.
Yeah.
Your current position is a compromise to being president because we already know your goal. We know your MO, and we know how passionately you speak about it. We can't afford for you to be in charge. Next thing you know, we ain't sending trillions to Ukraine, but this nigga done replaced NASA with a space force like Trump tried to do, and he's sending 90 trillion a month up there trying to figure. Nah, fuck all that, G. You ain't right. Do your job elsewhere.
You ain't wrong. All right.
You hear me?
But I would
bring him in on like if I was president. And I knew some, like, and they gave me information, and I was like, oh, okay.
He becomes the head of Space Force.
I would be like, hey, bro, I'm about to appoint you a position that's going to benefit both of us. You just got to sign a few NDAs because we know you a loudmouth blabber. No, you're out there anyway. You're out there. So Joe, at least I know that motherfucker has composure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if he don't want to lie about it, he's just not gonna talk about it.
Right. Next question.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I respect it. And you have to respect it when a guy is 55 years old with traps and karate background that can lay you out. And you know what I'm saying? Now everybody talking about Putin in a world fight. Yeah, he wins. Putin beats everybody in a world one-on-one presidential fight. Maybe you might find a few countries in Africa that got some sleepers that nobody knows about. But for the most, because they've been keeping a good job of keeping Africa a mystery for years. They just now, 10 years ago, less than that, I would probably say 5 years ago, started putting movies out to show you what it really looks like as opposed to a dirt road with kids in potato sacks running up and down begging for change. So I'm sure there's a few, and as big as that continent is, I'm sure it's a few countries out there that got some presidents that you like, oh shit, that nigga's an athlete. Are we sure it's not a tribal warrior king that just... Right. I'm sure they got a few. But if they don't, Putin takes everything. So vote in Joe.
Can't do it. Can't do it again.
Who beats Putin right now? Like physically, like in a physical, like, you know what I'm saying?
Justin Trudeau in Canada.
I know you trolling.
Nah, man. Trudeau?
You're dead ass serious?
Trudeau is like 35. Like, he would definitely take Putin's old ass.
Nah.
You catch him once in the knee, Putin's down, dude.
Nah.
And I think Trudeau is a sneaky motherfucker.
You ain't seen Putin as the
wrestling a bear that's been tranquilized? No, don't care.
Nah, fuck all that. He was coaching the kids in jiu-jitsu.
Okay, and
he was and the little kid tapped the dude out. I'm just saying, when you have
those who can do, those who can't coach.
Well, you know, he was a part of the what's it called?
Keywords used to be.
Are you
past
fucking crazy?
tense?
Do you think a nigga that's not a killer ain't still a killer in his 60s?
I ain't worried about it.
You think that they still won't put them paws on you?
I ain't worried about it. No, the only killer in his 60s that I think is capable of actually killing somebody,
Liam Neeson.
Mike Tyson.
Well, Mike Tyson ain't no killer.
Yo, he's not?
Mike Tyson is a warrior. Mike Tyson is a fighter, but he's not a killer. Putin is a stone cold killer.
Nah, he has people poisoned, dude. He's weak.
But I'm saying, though, just to call a shot, you're a killer. I don't have a problem with you not being here anymore, is what I'm saying. So when you factor that in with somebody who is physically capable and knows technique in ways, we gotta get a president in there that is capable to compete.
Bobby Kennedy.
I don't know if Bobby Kennedy, he might get assassinated.
Trial by combat.
I'm just playing. Let me stop.
All right. What inadvertence you got? You got an inadvert?
I do. I got a inadvert.
What you got?
At first, I thought it was racist.
You just call
the
people
more I
lab
thought
coats
about
again.
it, I think the more I thought about it, I think that it could be like, it could be argued as true. So I went to the gym today, of course.
Okay.
And I went by myself, so I was just running into Gehenna real quick. And this is the first time that I took a shower in there, right? Because remember I told you last time, I don't like that they have their showers lined up in the locker room and they don't have a stall. It's just a curtain between you and the locker room. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, that's very weird. And I thought to myself, well, white boys are inherently gay anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are, I feel like, not like you're inherently gay, like you're more susceptible of being gay.
Okay.
I just think that it's inherent in you that you're more comfortable with joking and doing gay shit for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, though, I don't even think that that's like crazy to say. I think that that's something that if you observe, it's a thing.
You've never done a naked conga line to Gloria Estefan after a game in a locker room, Cliff?
See, that's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's
everybody now shoot the conga.
With no hands. But
actually, it was,
it
was the one Hispanic on the team leading the conga line, but go ahead. Caballero. Cheers.
Okay.
Oh, did I flashy thing you? I think I flashy thinged you.
Yeah, my wig was blown for a second. But okay, so I'm there, right? And that's my first thought. Like, there's no reason why they would have you walk from the shower into a changing room across where, you know, motherfuckers is at. I'm thinking like that's a little, you know, weird. But then I noticed while I was there, right? First and foremost, their hot water is hot water.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Hot.
I'm not going to just name my location that I normally go to But it's a prison shower unless you turn that motherfucker on for about 5 minutes before you walk into that shower. Now, they also have stalls. And I tell you what else they do not have. Blow dryers in the bathroom. I said, now this just may be what's the word do I say? How do I say it? How do I say it? Friendly and discreetly. This may just be a trend of this location. Because after I'm noticing all this, I start looking around and I'm like, it's almost like Will Smith in Men in Black. You know what I'm saying? Where he was like, just look around and you like. I started looking at the floor like, what am I stepping on in here? And don't get me wrong, I have shower shoes and all that. But I don't know. I don't know about that location. But all I will say, to round up my inadvertent thought, is I don't know who y'all's marketer is. Because y'all take the most heat from the LGBTQ community. And it's like, we're inherently gay. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we might be straight right now, but we could be gay tomorrow. So that's why we say no homo, because we're letting you know I'm not in gay mode at the moment. And black people just say it because they don't know who they're speaking with at that moment. There, you just marking it all, you know, you're good now.
Oh, man.
I'm telling you.
All right. Shifting gears. You were talking about working out. Let's shift gears to the NFL. So, in breaking news, not confirmed yet, and probably not for the 2024-25 season.
Right.
Roger Goodell has proposed taking the preseason down to 2 games in support.
Yeah.
Taking the regular season to 18.
How much is it now? Like 4?
Yeah. Or I think it's down to 3. It's either 3 or 4. Taking the regular season to 18 games, but making the season 20 weeks so they get 2 bye weeks. Which I have mixed feelings on. I think that's too much, but
I mean, where are we at right now? 17?
Yeah, and I think 17's too much.
I think 7. Yeah, I think
16 was
fine.
the right number, but
16 is the right number, but 17 is fine. Now I don't know about 18 and 20.
So you could have a 9-9 team. Like that just feels like a lot of games. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the biggest thing that he's proposed of, and I can't figure out why we haven't done this yet, pushing the Super Bowl another 2 weekends to President's Day weekend so that those that get President's Day off don't have to work the day after the Super Bowl.
Right. What is that? What date? What is that date?
It's usually like February 17th.
Oh, yeah, that's not bad.
So February 17th or 20-something.
Yeah, that's smart.
And really, I think they should knock the season down to 16 weeks and just start it a month later and still end up at a President's Day Super Bowl.
That could work as well, but
I'm tired of these hot-ass games, man. Like, September is not a cool month anymore. Football has become a summer sport, is what has happened.
Do you think that it's more comfortable in the cold?
Yes. I think football is a cold-weather sport by nature.
Yeah, until Buffalo gets 4 feet of snow.
Right. That's called home field advantage.
That's called canceled game every time because people ain't sitting in 4 feet of snow.
You're not wrong.
And they want money. That's why they're advocating 18 games now. Right. We want more money. We can't get money if the stadium's closed.
So I don't know if that would pull up the start of the NFL regular season to line up with college. It sounds like it would. Which I'm sure college football's not happy about, but fuck them.
College, what? They usually start at the end of August, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But thoughts?
I'm for the President's Day shit.
I'm for that. I'm for reducing the preseason.
Yeah, but I mean, what is that really? Like, basically, what you're telling me is you're throwing the 2 games on the back end and they count now.
Basically.
Yeah, you're trying to pull the wool over my eyes. Like,
but I would rather those games count than people would have to play for nothing. You know what I mean?
No,
and granted, like the starters generally don't play preseason for more than 20 snaps,
a quarter, if a half.
Right.
I mean,
but I've also never liked the NFL preseason, so
yeah, I don't really care to watch, to be honest.
Right.
Unless there's
like a battle for like a quarterback spot or something.
Right.
And even then, like they don't play. The 2 guys get the first half, and then their 3rd and 4th string are playing the second half.
Right. That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
And I actually like the idea of 2 bye weeks. The only thing I don't like is taking it to 18 games. Like, I think you could do a 16-game season with 2 bye weeks and basically give guys like 8 and 8.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be against that. But again, you're talking to the people on top. If it's an opportunity and more money, they're going to take it. That's really why they're changing all the rules.
Yeah.
It's not for the safety of the players or anything like that. It's we need you available for longer in order to generate more revenue off of more games and appearances.
Which I can almost get in the sense of you can kind of have your cake and eat it too, because I do think that the rules have greatly shortened games. Like the clock not stop, or maybe that's just college, but like the clock not stopping on incompletes unless you're under 2 minutes or whatever. Like there have been a lot of rules like that I think have sped the game up. And I feel like the play clock's shorter. Like there are a fair amount of things that have shortened the actual speed of the game or the length of the game.
But what does that do?
Well, in theory, it's less plays, which means less opportunity for injury. Like, if there are less plays in the game, you have less opportunities to get hurt.
Yeah, I mean,
you're only talking a handful of plays, probably, but still.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like
they've completely neutered special teams.
Right.
Like kickoffs and kick returns, you might as well not even do anymore. You should just put the ball on the 20 and start it there.
Damn near. But then that eliminates all the special teams positions that are currently getting paid.
Right.
And then we never get a Tyreek Hill.
True. So the only thing I don't like in the proposal is taking the game or the season to 18 games. I like the other ideas. And
what was the other one besides the President's?
So it was President's Day. It was taking the
2-game preseason. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
That might be the smartest like proposal Goodell's ever made.
Yeah, I'm 2 out of 3 on that as well. But what else you trying to sneak in on the docket?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody vote on what we thought was the 3 major issues. Ukraine get another $90 billion.
Well, it's a shame Malcolm's not out in the chat because I'd go to the Vince McMahon thing next. It is the end of an era.
What kind of era?
Well, I mean, he and his family have been direct owners of it for 50 years almost.
Well, Shane ain't sex traffic.
It's fair.
What the fuck? The daughter ain't either.
Shane and Stephanie aren't super engaged in it anymore, though. Like, I think they both still have positions, but they're not like top of the company positions.
Well, shit. If your kids ain't step up and say you've been trafficking, I'll take control of the company then.
Well, and honestly, like, I don't hear much about Shane anymore. Stephanie's married to Triple H, but Triple H is basically the head of the WWE right now. He married into it. All right, we're gonna take it in a different direction though. So, with the era of South Champion Avenue coming to a close, what are some of your favorite memories at that house? No?
Nope, you're not gonna set me up.
It's no setup. It's legit.
Nah, you ain't got to.
Dude, I've got tapes of like backyard wrestling a champion.
Yeah, no, okay, okay. I see what you're saying.
That is where we cut like 3 different albums. It was at Champion Avenue.
Right.
That is where my mom scared the shit out of you, Shelby, and Gordon with the knife during Scream when we were like 12 years old.
Mm-hmm. Putting
wrestling's up there. That was the night of the lost teeth. Ashley lost her bra.
Your mom lost her table. What was going on that night?
That was probably the best party we've ever had at that house. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was.
I believe that night started off with us playing liquor pong with my mom.
Yeah,
and my mom leaving the house acting like a mastodon.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Oh man, I had a lot of fun with the backyard wrestling stuff we used to do. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had some times there.
I feel like you broke Shelby's face on a chair.
No, that was reverse.
Oh, Shelby broke your face on a chair.
That was reverse.
Good times. But yeah, the number of studio albums or the number of albums that we did, there were a bunch of songs recorded at Champion.
Yeah, that's all my NDA will allow me to speak on.
Well, and the other thing, that is also where I learned that me and Tequila do not get along.
See?
I think I hit probably half a fifth, and I haven't been able to touch the shit since.
That tracks. That's how effective you think it was. The effective you think it was.
Man.
Yeah, that was
good times.
That was good times.
Good times.
Damn, that is fucked up though.
Yeah. It's the end of an era. It's sad.
It don't matter. Because I wouldn't buy it even if I had the money.
Well, and that was the thing. I thought about it. And, honestly, dude, it needs... Compared to where I'm at now, it's outdated. Right. Unfortunately. And, to get it up
y'all had them pictures on the wall that always...
Oh, those are all hanging in my dining room now, Cliff. So you can have fun the next time you visit. They sure are.
I'll be in that.
James and Michael Killigrew back up on the wall.
Yeah, well. Dining rooms for y'all.
Oh, man.
We'll be playing Cards Against Humanity from the couch.
Oh, here's
Andrew run my card to the table.
Here's another favorite memory of that house. I think it was my first birthday party sleepover. And our boy Steve falling asleep in his pancakes at breakfast the next morning. That was another good one. I don't remember. Well, I'm trying to remember if you were there. Because I feel like that was maybe a year in between where we weren't really in touch as much.
Yeah, I don't think I was around for that.
But, yes. Steve fell asleep in his pancakes. It may have been the year you went to St. Catharines and I was still at Mansion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you couldn't find no riders like that.
No.
Yeah, now we riding. right until the sun come up if that's what it takes.
Right. Man. Good times. All right. Let's see. What else did I have on the docket?
You ain't got no goddamn docket.
Civil War. Went and saw that.
You do got a bailiff head though.
Hater.
You look like a judge that could be naked under his robe that I wouldn't trust.
Order!
You ain't got a gavel. I don't trust that man.
Hater. All right. I did go see Civil War last weekend. I was a fan. It's interesting. It's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't what was expected by most, but
yeah, because he doesn't really like take a side or like set up why things happened or how things went down. It's just basically jumping into the middle of it. And it's really like a coming of age for Kirsten Dunst and the younger female lead. Like it's kind of a passing the torch between the two of them. But I mean, it's got some tense moments. It's basically talking about like how you don't know who's on what side, and so everybody walks on eggshells when they meet people who are new, and like because you don't actually know, like, oh, are they with the Western forces, or were they with the remaining U.S. government, or are they with Florida? Like, it's interesting overall. I think the question it poses for me is that if we were to see a split in the country like that, like basically how would the military end up divvied up? Or would it? And would it be seizure of like military weaponry, or would it be like the military itself would like unit by unit say, we're going to stand here or we're going to stand here?
See, that's interesting. I would never even thought about it from that dynamic, which seems to be the most, likely to take place.
Right.
But I would still think to an instance, regardless of faction you were in, it would be the people against the government.
Well, but I think that's interesting because, and it's funny because I actually saw somebody in the Army National Guard posting, basically soldiers are required to follow orders that are lawfully given and required not to follow orders that are unlawfully given. And so at that point, does it become like almost like a unit by unit thing? Does it become a like individual by individual thing? Like,
those are just words.
I get it. I get it. But at the end of the day, like, you would still have people, and would they?
Here's the thing.
Blindly support the government, or would you see factions develop within the U.S. military where people would split off and splinter like immediately?
I'm sure that would take place as well. So here's the thing. If people are fighting against each other, you know what I'm saying? Like the Western faction against Florida and Texas, and that gives the military more of a reason to stay together.
Yeah.
Because now your mission is to stop them from fighting. It doesn't look like we're doing anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, we're the good guys here. We're splitting them up. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, you mowing down motherfuckers trying to hurt the different factions of the war. Stop them from being able to fight. So the reason why I said it wouldn't matter is because even if the Western ran into Texas or Florida, what do they have to fight over?
Right.
You were in your land, we were in ours. I know you don't want anything here. Why would we want anything there? So the common enemy would be them, the big guy.
The federal government.
Right.
Well, I think that's interesting. Like, would would be in a repeat of the Civil War, meaning like states seceding from the Union, or would it be people rising up against governments all over the country?
No, it would be
Or
more
would you
people
see us,
seceding.
or would you see it become like state by state and almost becoming what I would call the divided states of America, where you would have country states
Been saying that.
where power goes back to the states and states kind of
It
insulate
should have never
themselves.
not been that. Should have never. It should have never not been that way.
Yeah.
We weren't all created at the same time. We got situations right now where probably your ancestors, but they like
Hey, my people are
motherfucker.
Irish, dude. We weren't treated well when we got here either.
Well, here nor there, because y'all all look the same. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna say you Irish till they see you pick up a beer and start talking crazy.
Nah, man. Where you see the freckles?
Listen, but nah, I'm playing. What was he talking about?
Civil War, how it happens. States' rights versus federal versus just the people rising up overall.
Oh, that's how it always should have been that way. And that's what I said. That's what I was about to say. Ancestors is in their grave right now. Like, how the fuck are y'all letting them run it? We came here first. We was first. We was the first state, and y'all just letting that state that came around 13 states later make the decisions about what you doing.
Yeah.
But they did a good job of rocking us to sleep. And if you can rock a baby to sleep, you never get mad at the baby for falling asleep.
Right.
They couldn't do nothing but fall asleep. You was rocking them. They did a good job of rocking us to sleep for a good long time.
I prefer to follow the Fallout methodology, which is like the New California Republic, the Commonwealth, the... Honestly, I think it would go... I don't know that it would be state by state. I think you would see states ally. Almost back to how they were originally drafted, like the Western Territories, the Southern Territories, the Midwest Territory. I think you would see alliances almost between states. Maybe after those states' governments have been toppled, unless people were smart enough to see it coming, and they like seceded in order to stay in power. You know what I mean? Like a governor saying we're no longer part of the union because our people don't want that, and then they maintain power in their state.
All right. I mean, you already seeing the writing on the wall.
Yeah, you see stuff. I mean, shit's still going down in Texas, right? On top of, police and National Guard being called in against college students. And it's all right there, man.
It's just like, I ain't gonna say that. I'm not.
No, but it's that. What's the jump off point?
But what I will say is
the lid's wobbling on the pot right now. It just needs something to push it over.
I just feel like I have to say it. I've never seen a movie, right, where you had this many hits, this many action-packed scenarios happen all at once. And then the movie continue on for another hour and a half.
Right.
You hear what I'm saying? That always happens towards the end.
Yeah.
And again, with like you said, the shit is toppling as we speak. If it doesn't come from, something else, something divine, something extraterrestrial, something to stop motherfuckers in their tracks, I'm telling you, it's going to be a problem before long. We can't sustain this many climaxes. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the
Well, and
climax.
then it becomes, does Project Bluebeam become a reality where they basically stage an international or an intergalactic coup and try to force a
Something.
one world government?
Something.
But I honestly don't think that I don't think global leader. I mean, I think there are people behind the scenes that would like to see that happen, but I don't think people in power or who are at least puppets in power would give up that power at this point. I don't know.
And what do? I feel like you've already given it up. Like, whether you know it or not, it's almost like a chess game where it's like, yeah, you still have a few moves left, but ultimately the game is
But the
over.
writing's on the wall.
Right, you have nowhere else to go. I have you in checkmate within the next four moves. The
Right.
next four moves are up to you. But either way it goes, checkmate. And I feel like they know that. So why not pull out some of the wildest moves you have available?
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. I sent you.
You couldn't.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, real quick. You couldn't do Project Bluebeam to get on a one world government because right now the world is fractured.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be it. You couldn't.
No, we're on the verge of World War III as we speak.
Right. So you couldn't try, like, if you did Project Bluebeam, at that point it was just to be heinous, right? Because there's no reason for you to be able to use that for us to align with anyone because no one wants to align with us.
Right.
We don't want to align with us.
Our move to do that was in like the late 70s, early 80s.
That would have been the perfect time. But at that point, they ain't have all that nonsense. They wasn't pumping all them chemtrails up in the air, getting their Astrodome ready, and they didn't have all the Elon Musk satellites up there in the atmosphere. That listen, I'm telling you.
Is Elon on
Now,
our side or is he's on big government side?
I don't trust that motherfucker.
Neither
like
do
said,
I.
I don't even know if he's human.
Well, he's one of the Anunnaki.
I mean, that might be the case, and he might be just as regular as can be. But he's like you, like, you know what I'm saying, like you and your Carnegie Mellon folk. Like sometimes I want to cut y'all just to see if y'all got circuit boards up under y'all skin, or if you really bleed. And I feel like Elon falls into that boat. Like,
Yeah.
is it gonna be green ooze that come out and I, see some scaly shit up under your skin? Or is it gonna be circuit boards? And you the one that's pushing that Neuralink shit. You trying to put, so you probably the robots begotten son sent here to get everybody else in, you know what I'm saying?
He's already the AI.
But either way it goes, see, this is what's wild about it, is even if that was the case, and Lord forgive me for, joking, but but even if that was the case, right, and he was sent here by the AIs to try to incorporate the AI into the human mind and all that, even when we procreate, it's not like that baby born with a chip. So unless you do some robot circumcision type ritual where you busting the back of their head open to slide in your little GPS air tag, then how do you win?
Right. Until it can procreate. Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, if the robots take over and they somehow tend to wipe us out altogether before all this even take place, they're going to be all knowing and all everything, and they're going to be, their biggest issue is going to be like, well, how do we fuck like they did? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got the power to know everything, do everything, and you like, but how do I make the same sensors on me like them to do what they did?
If you listen to Billy Carson on the podcast talking about why the Anunnaki or the subset of Anunnaki that rose up against the leaders was because there were no women. It was just guys building,
Well,
all these
that's
structures.
never going to be the case. I won't say never, but I would say in the next 3 generations, that would never be the case. Even in China, it's not the case as much as people make it out to be.
Right.
Even when they was only allowing males to be born, they looked it up on Joe Rogan the other day, and they said it's 55-45.
That's not bad.
That's not bad odds, motherfucker.
No.
If you ain't find one out of that 45, then that's on you. You know what I'm saying? You either shot too high or probably shot too high.
Probably.
I don't know. I don't know what you shit.
Now that podcast was interesting. So if anybody has a chance, I recommend it. Like you ever want to catch up on kind of what we've talked about regarding the Anunnaki and all of that, Billy Carson does a great job. And honestly, most of the stuff that I bring up comes from him. But I am reading right now the Book of Enki. So I'm like, I don't know, a couple, I guess, chapters into that at the moment.
How many pages is it?
It's not bad. Like the whole book's only like 200 pages, if that.
Okay.
It's a little hard to follow, like, which means I think it's accurately translated. But yeah, it's interesting.
I can run through a quick 200. I might have to buy that just to read it with you so we can
do a little discussion on it.
Yeah,
it's together. A little wild. Like they talk about the evil wind, which was basically like the Anunnaki. There was some kind of nuclear fallout, and that was part of what destroyed the first civilization.
On Mars. No, I'm just playing.
Nah, here. That's why you have all the deserts in the Middle East.
Oh, here.
Mm-hmm.
Evil wind, huh?
Yeah, which would basically be nuclear fallout.
So where is this timeline-wise compared to like the religious stuff, like Jesus and all that?
So the philosophy is that this was like 250,000 years ago, whereas Jesus was like 3,000 years ago, right? And there's actually belief that Jesus, Yahweh, was actually a reincarnation of Enki, or Enlil. I think it's Enki.
The dude that the Carson dude was talking about that was ruling Atlantis.
Yep, he's one of the Atlantean rulers.
Yeah, and said that he could come back at any time, any place. Yeah.
Yep. And that a lot of where you see variants in the ancient gods or the old gods, they were all Anunnaki, but they were different sects of Anunnaki. And he actually in that same podcast touches on his theory is that we were branded by basically the Anunnaki leader
of our specific area.
Of our area, yep.
All right.
Which would mean you would pray to what? Either Enki or Amun-Ra, and I would pray to
probably be
one of the Norse gods.
It would probably be Amun-Ra because you think about Africa and the Aya-Ra and all that. That's all around the.
Yep. He also talked a fair amount about how the oldest recorded version of the Torah and the Bible had
multiple gods, not God.
Yep, and they're all the oldest. The oldest texts we have are actually Ethiopian texts. Like so Sheba from the Bible was Ethiopian.
So again, Lord forgive me again.
No, you good.
But no, I'm about to for what I'm about to say.
Lord, all right.
Yeah, Lord forgive me for what I'm about to say. So what if, right? Just for this is for entertainment purposes only, and this isn't for them fucking This isn't for them. It's for him. But what if that's true, right? And the book did talk about multiple gods.
Yep.
It would only strike me as normal. Now, I'm not no god myself, right? But it would only strike me as normal for them to compete the same way we talked about us competing with lifting weights and all that.
Yep.
So if one could eliminate the others and only be talked about himself, I would imagine even on that level, you may see that action take place,
Yep.
right?
And that's
Now, here's the
exactly.
thing.
Go ahead.
Wait, I'm not done yet. Here's the thing, right? But that doesn't mean that the others don't exist at that point, right? So at that point, it's up for their people to come back to them, right? You understand what I'm saying? So what if the idea of heaven and hell is not heaven and hell, but you entering into the God that you don't belong to's heaven instead of your own?
Take that a step further. The God that took power and who basically took over the world, not Enlil, which is what we would refer to as kind of the Almighty God, or what we would have referred to as like the leader, was Amun Ra. Amun Ra is the one that seized power, is also why like the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, the Christian faith, the Old Testament is based on Amun Ra. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Give us this day our daily bread. All of that. That was Amun Ra.
Yeah, why we say amen.
Why we say amen after a prayer. Correct. Enki and Enlil
So they
were
say.
gentler gods and are believed to have been, like I said, I think it's Enki. It might be Enlil, but I think it's Enki. Was believed to have been Yahweh, who was here on earth, which is the appropriate translation of Jesus. Jesus being the new God.
It's not quite
On Lil
it's
and
close
Enki,
to.
but Yahweh is the correct translation there.
Well,
So you have Enlil,
no,
or
it's
Enki, or
Yahweh.
Enlil is Yahweh.
Yahweh is God, God itself. Yeshua is the
Is the Jesus? Yeah,
appropriate
you're correct. You're right.
translation to Jesus. Because Yahweh is breath. Is
Yeah, you're right.
the same tones that you use to say those words. That's why the Bible says your breath speaks life into the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Because even when you're breathing, you're saying his name from that Yahweh perspective. But I mean that all of it is, I mean,
honestly, the most interesting.
forgive me again, Lord, but all of it's some wild shit. Like, not all of it, you know what I'm saying? But like when you start to piece things together, like I almost think that we're getting into the point of you might have too much knowledge. Like you might, like you're almost to the point of
That's why we're due
much.
for another world disaster.
Right.
And that comes back to, does Planet
But I mean to
X,
cut you off.
No, but does Planet X, Nibiru, like, does that coming back into our orbit, is that what influences, like, planetary disaster? And does it happen every so 100 years because we get to a point where we've acquired too much knowledge?
Could be. I mean, that would make the most sense, right? Like, so if I was channeling my inner Anunnaki, if I knew that when I left the first time, you know what I'm saying, they built the Tower of David or
Tower of Babel.
yeah, right, or yeah. and they was like, oh no. Y'all was just meant to be the slaves. Y'all wasn't meant to be us. And they knocked it down and separated and did all that.
Well, and is that the real fear?
Well, wait. Here's what I was saying though. If you knew it took you, how long did it take? I was gone for this long, and these motherfuckers built this tower this high, almost to where, you know what I'm saying, we're at.
Yep.
So that means that I need to come back and check on these bitches every this many years to make sure they ain't. And what we ain't understood as the ants in the motherfucking ant farm is, yeah, you may be able to build the bridge, but you better build it faster. You really wouldn't.
I mean, but that's legit. Like, if you believe that I'll call it our prehistory was reset because of nuclear devastation,
right?
That we figured out early. Well, this time you've given us almost another 100 years since we figured out nuclear weapons. We might be catching up to you. Like, that's actually kind of the idea of, and I know you're never going to watch it, but like that's kind of the idea of Three Body Problem, is that the reason that they're on their way here when they're on their way here is because they fear that our technology is going to catch up to them sooner than they realize.
So follow me and explain if I'm on what you're on. So what you're saying is, if that is the case, and every so often we or maybe they destroy everything just by natural design, whether you call it evidence, genetics, whatever the case may be, the next us's would be a little faster getting to that point than we were. So eventually you get to a point where you may need to cut that time in half, as opposed to the 13,000 years you was.
This right here is why you need to watch Three Body Problem, because there is an aspect of that show where they are this is where they are basically jumping into the alien civilization, that because it exists in it's a trinary star system, so there's 3 suns.
Right.
The whole idea of a 3-body problem is that you can't predict when it's going to fall into the orbit of which sun. And eventually it falls into the orbit of all of them and it destroys the planet. What happens, though, when it becomes trapped in a bad orbit cycle or a chaotic orbit cycle, is it's natural disaster that wipes out the planet. However, each civilization has a chance to basically pick up where the last one left off. So as long as you can prepare, exactly. So as long as
jump back into the rhythm.
So as long as you can prepare the next civilization with the right information, that's where we failed. Is that they buried the Atlantean civilization,
the Library of Alexandria,
all of that
the
stuff,
Vatican, They
burned and buried all of that, or have managed to control it so that the general population couldn't get it. But we've caught up. We've actually surpassed the last time we hit this, which was Moses going into the desert and taking the Ark of the Covenant with him, which is what caused the nuclear devastation in the first place.
Right. Wait, what? Say that again?
The Ark of the Covenant was a power source that had like nuclear destructive capabilities if it was used improperly. Used properly, it provides power to whatever region it's in.
I've always thought that the Ark of the Covenant was Jesus's tomb.
No, so the Ark of the Covenant is Old Testament. It was basically the promise of the power source that humanity could use and still basically have a means of energy. But we've done it without it now.
Right, because very clearly somebody suppressed it.
Right. Well, it goes back to like the
No,
pyramids.
you could say it's the Schmaflick Schmerch. You could say it's the.
Well, it's not just them. Like there are similar pyramids in China that they actually. Well, it's interesting. So there's a couple things going on. One, the Catholic Church is known to have destroyed a number of pyramids and temples,
Right.
and built churches on top of them.
Right. They were talking about that in that episode.
But
and
even
that's
beyond
true.
that, you have places in the Far East or in the eastern half of the world, China, etc.,
Right.
where they have allowed these temples to become overgrown in order to hide them in plain sight.
So listen,
which is also the location of supposedly Arks of the Covenant and other sources of power and other hidden knowledge.
On what you're saying, right? This is exactly on what you're saying. I can't remember the name of the mountain, but the mountain has a pyramid on it. The pyramid is no longer there, but there's a factory, like a factory building on top of it that they won't allow anybody up to.
Yep.
Now, they had a Ninjas or Butterflies episode where they said if you go down to the basement of this factory, it opens up into like a natural land area. Like basically you built something on top of a waterfall type shit. You know what I'm saying? And they said the water that they have generating there isn't normal like to our shit, and it generates energy.
Well, it's not that the water's not normal. It's the structure that it's within.
The area
is actually a hydroelectric plant, basically, beyond our understanding.
They said that it's the exact same with the pyramids in Egypt. If you go down low enough, you come to a river that runs, that produces the energy that's, being sucked up through that pyramid. That means that these pyramids are really active to this day.
They are, but
just not using them correctly to.
But we don't have the technology in place to accept them. You know who tapped into it? Who tapped into it? You
may really have portals. You may not even have to fly.
Who tapped into the energy and was buried because of it?
Nikolai Tesla.
Exactly. That's what was actually powering the Tesla towers. It was harnessing the energy from these sources.
That's crazy though. Just think about that. You could just. And they said that there was more than 13 pyramids just in the Grand Canyon alone. You know what's funny? I was going to say this on the Hit the Showers podcast, but I said, think about all the talent that comes from Ohio. Like, think about all of the talent, like, not even athletes, but the two most famous, Steph Curry and LeBron James, both from the same area.
There's something going on in Akron.
You hear what I'm saying? And it's not even that. It's you got your Adrian Broners out of Cincinnati. You got your Sean Porters out of Cleveland. You got all these people were champions, were great, and this is just athletes, not even musicians and all of that.
Right.
So it would lead me to believe that if this is one of those areas where it's like, how did everybody come out around here? It has to be that we're on top of something. Was it you that I sent that TikTok that explains what Ohio?
No.
So it might have been Malcolm then. I got to find it and send it to you. But they were basically saying that Ohio was built on top of a burial ground of the people that were here prior to,
Yeah, no, it's
because they say that
there were a bunch of Indian mounds and those kind of things here in Ohio.
They said that what was the name? Like the real name was a Mary or something like that. And that was when the Moors ruled over here, and they had all of that's why they find all the African tombs and shit.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if that's the case, that would explain a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because You can't shut something off like that.
No.
You know, unless you're going down there to find a way to block, to dam up, to beaver up that flow of energy, it's still going to this day.
So in Butler County,
Mm-hmm.
Ancient Sculpture Museum featuring an impressive collection of Greek, Roman, Etruscan, Egyptian pieces dating all the way back to like 2000 BC. Pyramid Hill in Hamilton County,
Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's one that it's not even a pyramid. It's like a
serpent, the serpent mound.
Yeah, they built it up and then flattened it out into if it's a lot going on in that area. It's the same as that. What's that place in Georgia? That peach pit that nobody will go to because they used to bury all the slaves there after they did whatever to them.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the same thing though. You know what I'm saying? Like that, they know in that area, don't eat those peaches.
Right.
But here it's like they buried the history so much that you ask yourself, well, why is there so many it's a lot of talent in Ohio. And even thinking about back in the day, like playing football, even in middle school. And
yeah, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida, California. That was it. Like, those were the four football states.
In Texas.
And Texas, yeah.
But Texas makes sense, though.
Texas and California are
bullshit. Mexico.
Well, but Texas and California are bullshit because geographically they're bigger by like 3 times.
I agree, but I also think it's to the same way that I'm talking about Ohio. You got to think those places were owned by Mexico.
Yeah.
They weren't owned here. We took them over. So how many pyramids were there? Mexico's one of the top places with pyramids also.
Yep.
Like top 5.
Incan, Aztec, Mayan.
So if they have all of these...
All direct descendants of the Atlantean Empire, by the way.
Yeah, you know.
But that's also why those pyramids are structured exactly the same way the ones in Egypt are.
Mm-hmm.
And it also makes sense from a tectonic, like, plate movement perspective because you learn in school about Pangea, about how all the continents were connected at one point, and then over the millions of years or whatever, they split apart.
Right. They didn't call it that.
Maybe
it
wasn't
the Bering Strait, but...
Well, Pangea was the universe, like the one continent before the land masses shifted.
Okay, right.
Bering Strait is connection between Alaska and Russia, right?
Right. It connected everything, really.
Okay.
Originally, it connected Africa to the Southern Americas, to the United States, and I guess the water levels changed that, which makes sense. But what was you saying?
But all I'm saying is that at some point, I think, I don't know whether it was before the continents separated or after, but like the Atlantean Empire was across the world. That's why you see similar structures in multiple places within the world. That's also why you see comparable stories and mythology in different places across the world, is because at one point they were all part of the same empire. Now, to the point of the different Atlanteans or the different Anunnaki, they all had their own region. Right. And really, the Tower of Babel incident was taking it from basically a one world government to multiple tribes and multiple regions. And Billy Carson's theory is that's when we were branded. And why I have light skin and you have dark skin has nothing to do with evolution, has nothing to do with, where tribes originated. Nah, we were genetically altered to basically be able to tell, oh, I belong to this god, or I belong to this Anunnaki, they belong to that Anunnaki.
I mean, that might make sense.
Right. And it also explains the inherently tribal nature of our world in general and of
So that
humanity in
goes.
recorded history.
So that goes back to going back to what I was saying, basically. That not really scarier. Like I don't know what it is, and I don't think it should be anyone. But it's not like I perceive fear as fear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So much as it's like that's something I need to prepare for.
Right. It's a difference.
But think about it from a religious standpoint, right? And I'm not the biggest fan of religion, as you know. I definitely believe in a higher power. Believe in an ultimate sacrifice, but religion has done a lot to separate people, which isn't the speakings of the Yeshua in the Bible.
No, it's the
You know what
speakings
I'm
of Amun
saying?
Ra. Continue.
The
Sorry.
Yeshua in the Bible disappeared at the age of 12 and didn't come back till he was what, 33,
Because he was
30?
learning the mystic arts and
From
learning ancient
everywhere, from
history in
India,
Egypt,
Asia,
India,
every
Asia. Yep.
come on now. So already that lets you know that this person acknowledged these people as intelligence that I need to learn from.
Yep.
So why all of a sudden do we use religion to not only segregate our own country? You Protestant, I'm Lutheran, I'm non-denominational, I'm Catholic, like that's weird.
That's weird in and of
But
itself.
then to the others as well, to the point that we don't even want to hear what they have to say about it. You're not of my religion, I don't want to hear it. But Jesus did.
Right. Well, what's interesting is what if Amun Ra is the god of Judaism? Enki is Yeshua. Allah is Enlil. What if these were all Anunnaki that lived at basically the same time and basically had separate territories, states, countries, however you want to talk about it?
I mean,
And what we have translated into at this point is just a continuation of some ancient war that no record exists except for the Emerald Tablets.
right. Now listen, to respond to that, I'm not in no position to be able to agree or disagree, right? But what I will say is that goes back to the point I was trying to finish is you think it's scary to end up in hell, right? Like you think if you do bad in life and you ain't wrong and you don't, right yourself, you'll end up in hell. But imagine there being 5 different gods and one that belongs to you.
And the hell is when you're
I don't mean
serving
belongs to you,
when
but you
you're
know what I mean,
serving the wrong
that you
god.
belong to. And the hell is the opportunity of landing in those other 4 spots that you just don't fit in.
Yep.
That makes the idea of hell that much more concerning because now it's not a 50-50 shot.
It's a 1 in 25.
It's a 1 in 20 at that
Right.
point. Now we're getting into real odds.
But then at that point, does hell matter at that point? If you were born to one god but serving the wrong one, but you end up with the one that you were.
You just waiting for your next shot,
right?
For him to release me back to be able to figure it out all over again.
Well, maybe you get reincarnated into the right spot.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, because you're always in the right spot, right? The original spot that you're provided is the right spot. It's up to you to figure out where, my heart is leading me.
Right. Right.
You know, my fear would be that it's leading me to one of the other 4 out of 5. You know what I'm saying? And not the one that I belong to. Because everybody knows that's the worst feeling in the world. Just not belonging.
Yeah. Well, it's that sense
Just
of
I don't
loneliness
belong.
and yeah.
That's where you get people in a real bad spot. You know what I'm saying? So
well, and even if you
I can
listen
only
to
imagine it from a supernatural or godly perspective.
well, and if you listen to the what I'll call the deeper teachings of even Christianity and hell and heaven not being physical places but states of being.
Right.
Heaven is being in a state of being where you feel like you belong, you're part of the us, you're part of the togetherness. Hell is really a place of isolation. And to your point, if you're in the wrong, supporting the wrong God in the wrong spot, that would be isolation. You would be segregated and alone.
Right.
And so that definition of heaven and hell, which I learned at Catholic school, like that makes even more sense in that situation.
You mean the schmathlick schmerch? No, I'm just playing.
Precisely.
I'm just playing.
All right, man. What else you got? You got anything to take us out?
Excusez-moi. Nah, I feel like we covered it.
I feel like that was one of our best, like, genuine discussions on that last topic that we've had. It felt good. Felt like a good one.
It felt all right.
All right. So, with all of that, last words?
I mean, love everybody. You know what I'm saying? You know the drill. Like, that's all you can do until we start seceding. And then you love the ones that don't point at you. Only shoot when you see the whites of their eyes.
And I'll take it the other route of, I don't care which of the Anunnaki you're descended from. Love everybody.
You hear what I'm saying? Like,
we don't have to follow in their footsteps.
Right. So what do they do with all the mixed kids then?
Right. That's a great question.
What I'm saying? What do you do with all the kids that mixed together?
Well, that's the whole point. We need to be all blended before they get back so they don't know which one of us belong to which one.
You heard me? Well, we out the gate anyway. We the ones that's getting yanked up and waterboarded. I don't even know if they use water. They might be plasma boarded up there. Right. But they like, yeah, we know y'all's race. Y'all did this shit.
And with all that, do us a favor. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell an enemy.
Tell that motherfucker to troll.
And with all that, peace out, fools.